What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP, back again with another video. Now, I know I've been gone for a little bit, and you have to excuse me if I repeat that in my next video because I am actually posting this before before one that I actually recorded before this one. So I said it in that other video when I probably should have used it here, since this was the one that I was actually um, going to upload first. Um, so with that said, as you can see here, I do have the Xiaomi 12T, but I will also have a video a video posting after this for the iQOO Neo 7. So stay tuned for that one. I meant to do this one first, and I just happened to record that one. There was some kind of circumstance that I had going on. I actually recorded that a few days ago, but I was waiting to do this one first. There's no real reason other than I guess the I guess because of the processors, and also because this is a little this you know about a month older than the iQOO Neo 7. I actually had kind of got early dibs on the Neo 7, and and there's not a whole lot of videos out for it, especially not stateside. So I I you know from a lot of y'all, as a lot of y'all can see from previous videos, I do like to be first with a lot of them, and so I kind of rush them out because y'all know I don't really edit these anyways, and they don't end up being the best videos. I realize that, but nonetheless, again, we have the Xiaomi 12T right here. Very nice phone. Very nice phone. There's some high points to really talk about here with this phone, and I'm just gonna skim through the specs here. This is a different format that I'm trying here, which of course I didn't exactly start this off that way, but I'm gonna get better over time here. This phone, first and foremost, it does have 5G, obviously, and it does work in the US. It works on AT&T and T-Mobile. It's been pretty flawless, honestly. It has several bands. I mean, several. Um, Including 66 and 41, and these are even LTE bands as well. And 77, 78, 5 for AT&T, 2 for AT&T LTE, and then of course the 5 was for 5G. I meant to say there. This is dual SIM. There's no expandable storage. The model that I have here is the 8 GB model with 128 internal. And what else? What else, y'all? Now, this has a really interesting AMOLED screen. It is a 120 hertz HDR10 plus. The peak brightness is 900 nits. Which is a far cry from the Neo 7 that I also have, which can get up to 1500. But that is also an E5 panel, where this is an E4 panel. So this is actually last year's AMOLED, not 2022's AMOLED, but 2021's. But of course, I know y'all are really antsy for the main specs, but the display is definitely one of those main specs. This may not be an top of the line E5, or 144 hertz or whatever. But the interesting thing with this display is that it has what Xiaomi is calling crystal res. And I actually read something about this before I ever even got this phone, where next year you're going to start to see a lot of phones come out with 1.5K displays. 2K is, what we know as quad HD. Of course, 4K is ultra HD, but there's just a couple of Sony phones for the most part that have that. So, I mean, other than those couple of Sonys, Quad HD is normally the max, which we also call 2K. But this phone has what Xiaomi is calling crystal res, which is a 1.5 quad display. It's not 1080, but it's not 1440 either. It is it's 1220 is what it is. Oddly enough, 1220, and I have to say, it's beautiful. Is beautiful. The moment I had turned on this phone, I've had it for a couple of weeks now, and the moment I turned it on, that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, wow, this isn't an E5. Not that honestly, I can only tell that depending on the variable refresh rates and stuff like that. The E5 can go all the way down to 1, whereas it can go all the way down to 1 hertz, and then all the way to 120 or whatever the max is. And of course, the Neo 7's max was 120. Whereas the E4s, they go down as far as 10 hertz, not 1 hertz, but 10. So, yeah, wouldn't necessarily know the difference just by giving them a quick glance. But the resolution on this phone is extremely striking. And beyond that, it is a 6.67 inch. So of course, I just say 6.7. It is Corning Gorilla Glass 5. It does have Android 12, not 13, but it does have MIUI 13, but unfortunately not Android 13 yet. It is rocking the new Dimensity 8100 Ultra chipset, not the 8100, not the 8100 Max, but the 8100 Ultra. Its 4 performance cores are clocked at 2.85 gigs, the Cortex A78s, and then of course the A55 efficiency cores, there's 4 of those clocked at 2 gigs. And it does have the Mali G610 MC6, and of course MC6 means it's a 6-core GPU, and again it is the Mali G610. For those of you that aren't familiar, the Dimensity 9000 has a 10-core Mali G710. The G710 and G610 are actually part of the same generation. The 610 was not a predecessor, and the 710 is not a successor. They actually are the same generation. They came out at the same time. It's just obviously one's weaker, one's more powerful. The Pixel 7 series actually has a custom Mali G710, not exactly like the one found in the Dimensity 9000 and 9000 Plus. And if y'all happen to watch this video after the Neo 7 video that I have, that phone has the Dimensity 9000 Plus. The Pixel 7 series has that G710, but it's not 10 core like the Dimensity 9000 is. It's a 7 core, if I'm not mistaken. It's a 7 core. Could be wrong about that. Y'all can hit me up in the comments and let me know there. I did have a Pixel 7. I just didn't do a video on it. As I've said before, I don't do videos on everything. But that's one of the reasons too why I ordered these videos this way, because the 8100 Ultra is new, and then the 9000 Plus Dimensity is newer, and so I just kind of and I also kind of did like a power scaling thing. This phone, and then something more powerful from the same chip manufacturer, MediaTek. Of course, the 8100 is a 5 nanometer, not a 4 nanometer process node. But other than that, let's see, moving right along here, that front-facing camera with that small punch hole that Xiaomi has been known to do there. They're really good about that. And it doesn't have that chrome trim around it anymore either, which I really like. Really like. I hated that chrome trim. A lot of people did, actually. This does have a give me a second here, y'all. I forget. You have to forgive me because I forget what the Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Never mind. The selfie camera. I was gonna say 16. It was a good thing I was looking at some literature. It's a 20 megapixel. That's what the selfie camera is right there. With an f2.2 aperture. It is a wide angle. And it does 1080p at 30 and 60 frames per second HDR. Now the main camera's on the back. This is that silver color, if y'all couldn't tell. I'm not sure they got a special name for it. What is it? Oh no, it's just silver. Sorry, y'all, just silver. That's a first, just a basic name. But it's really nice though. It's really nice. It is a gorgeous phone. It's obviously a plastic frame there. You don't see any antenna lines, so it's not metal. It's not glass. The front is Gorilla Glass 5, as I said, and I think the back is plastic, but it doesn't feel it. It doesn't even sound. It sounds like glass. It feels like glass. But I think it's plastic, if I'm not mistaken, though. But it's beautiful nonetheless, though. That silver is striking to me, and I don't like a lot of silver phones. The main camera's on the back. It does have a 108 megapixel with a f1.7 wide angle. Wide angle, obviously, with the I'm sorry, y'all. F1.7 aperture. I can't get my words straight here, y'all. I apologize. You do have an 8 megapixel ultra wide and a 2 megapixel macro, and of course the dual LED. And the recording, it can do 4K. It can do 4K at only 30 frames per sec, but it can do 1080 um, at 60, 120, and even 240 frames per sec. But that's just 1080, not 4K, mind you. Um, it does have stereo speakers, not just a mono speaker. Uh, and with the Dimensity 8100 Ultra, you're actually getting Bluetooth 5.3, not 5.2, which even your Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 has. It doesn't even have Bluetooth 5.3, it has 5.2. So that's a plus there. It does have NFC. It does have an under display fingerprint sensor, not the side mounted like the 11T had. They did put it back under the display. Uh, and It is a 5,000 milliamp battery, and it is a 120 watt fast charge. There's your fast charge right there, your USB Type C cable, and there's your box, pretty basic. There's your clear TPU case you get right there, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much the gist of it right there. Like the fingerprint sensor. Sorry, y'all. The fingerprint sensor there is very fast. The facial recognition is very fast, just as you come to expect from your Xiaomi phones here. Um, I have to say though, MIUI 13 is kind of getting dated in my opinion. Using the Neo 7, which does have Android 13, and it does have the new version of what they call the Origin OS Ocean, as I talk about in that video, is kind of a breath of fresh air, if I may say that. But other than that, though, this phone it'll blaze through any kind of game you put through it. I mean, max settings or not. Well, maybe not max settings on everything, but close to the max. I mean, every game I threw at it was at max settings, but you may have different experiences. You may play different games. I was using Genshin Impact, for example, um, and Apex Legends. So those are the two games that I was testing it with, and it worked phenomenally well. Um, the For those that may not remember, it was kind of in March or April, somewhere around that line back earlier this year, 2022. MediaTek had actually announced the regular Dimensity 8100 when Xiaomi, or Redmi rather, introduced the K50 series, because the Dimensity 8000, which had also just came out, couldn't do Quad HD displays, and the 8100 was literally made to do Quad HD displays. Because later on they still came, because let me back up a minute, because the K50, the non-Pro K50 had a Quad HD display. I mean, the Pro did too, but it also had the Dimensity 9000, so it was already capable of being, it already had that capability. But the non-Pro K50 also had a Quad HD display thanks to the Dimensity 8100. Instead of Xiaomi just going with the 1080 with the Dimensity 8000, it was a kind of a joint thing between them and MediaTek. I remember watching that whole announcement there. But and this is kind of an oddball here, because the 12T here, it's not a Quad HD, but it's not just a full HD. Again, it's a 1.5. It's a 1220, which is just really unique. It's a beautiful screen. And I had read something just before getting this phone, and just before even realizing that in the specs, that was something that a lot of manufacturers were gonna see next year. And for some reason, they specifically said Chinese manufacturers. So I don't, that's not me saying that. It's just was kind of part of the article I had read a couple months back. Because in the day said that even Samsung was going to do it, because it was becoming more expensive for them to do the 1080 or something, the dated resolution. Of course, I would consider a 1220 resolution to be rare, and I would think it'd be more expensive, but not just because of the higher number, but because of the rarity. But nonetheless, I may have been missing something as well. This is a couple of months ago, so I'm sure I'm missing something as well. But MediaTek proceeded to, after the 8100, they still upgraded the the standard 8000 to the 8000 Max, it was more powerful, but of course it didn't have the quad HD capability that was still left for the 8100. And of course later on the 80 you had the 8100 Max come out, which was the 8100 and the 8000 Max combined. It obviously just gave the Max the quad HD capability. And of course now you have here the 8100 Ultra. And of course, don't let this confuse you, because the 8200 is about to come out, and that's part of the next generation of Dimensity chipsets like the 9200. But the 8100 series, the standard 8100, the Max, the Ultra, these are all the same generation as the 8000 and the 8000 Max. Or yeah, I said it right. But the 8100 Ultra here, I'm not sure exactly what the difference is, but it's a I mean, for the price, it's amazing. The price of this phone, and if I'm not mistaken, it's lower now. I got it off of eBay, and I think, oh man, I think I I think I paid the same price for this as I did the Neo 7. Granted, the Neo 7 was a month later, almost. Well, not no, not it was about 2 or 3 weeks later actually, and I paid the same price for that. And that phone is way more powerful. Well, I wouldn't say way more, but it's substantially more powerful. It's kind of like, it's well, I'd say it's kind of like comparing a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 to a standard Snapdragon 888. Because the 8100 Dimensity has come a long way. I mean, the 8000 was stout, and then all these other ones came out, and they're pretty great, honestly. They just don't have the Cortex X series performance core. No X1, no X2, no upcoming X3 like the Dimensity 9200 and 8 um the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 will have, which was just announced yesterday. And of course, the Dimensity 9200 was announced a week before. Both super impressive. Both have ray tracing, hardware ray tracing, mind you, because the Dimensity 9000 series actually has ray tracing as well, but it's software based, as Oppo had actually showcased back like 9 or 10 months ago. But the 9200 actually has hardware ray tracing, and for the first time ever, Qualcomm is introducing it. Both, because they never did they never did it via software. But the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 does introduce their own take. It has hardware also for ray tracing, which is pretty sweet. Um, but yeah, I mean the 8100 Ultra is phenomenal. I mean it handles everything. The price, I think I never even did say it. Um, it was 480 if I'm not mistaken. It was 480, and I think I see it on eBay now for like 450, 460. Now, mind you, that's about what I paid for the Neo 7, but I also got the Neo 7 from Giztop, and it's also the Chinese variant. Whereas this is the global version of the Xiaomi 12T. So you don't have to even worry about the company side loading Google Play for you, or you having to do it yourself. It's there, it's global. And those generally do cost more than their Chinese counterparts. So it makes sense, honestly. You know, the because I mean this really doesn't have anything over. I mean, it's an entirely different phone as well. It's entirely different company. It has that crystal res display. And then everything else is just kind of like you know right below. It's as you would see fit. Honestly, the differences between a Dimensity 8100 Ultra powered phone and a Dimensity 9000 Plus powered phone. Um, and I really wouldn't pay the price of the other phone I'm discussing too much, because even though they're similar, this is an easier one to kind of get your hands on and kind of work with, as far as pre-installations and stuff like that. But it'd be even better if it had Android 13 like the other one. But nonetheless, I know you keep hearing me talk about the other one, so you have to check that video out afterwards here. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope y'all enjoyed how I kind of went down through all of the specs, including the cameras and stuff. I know I don't always do that, and I'm really working hard on just making these shorter and stuff like that. Again, this is just the right out of the box experience, not an unboxing, not a review. But this is a really good phone though. If you're a Xiaomi fan and you're looking for a budget option, you're looking to spend between between $400 and $500. This is you don't want to get a Chinese version from GizTop. You want to get something that's shipped from the US, that's global and has Google Play already installed. No side loading. Rather you do it, or the seller does it for you. You don't really want to deal with any of that. Then I definitely recommend this as opposed to the Neo 7. It's not always about power and capabilities and stuff, because this has done everything I've thrown at it and has done it perfectly, honestly. Fantastic phone. Again, I'd put it next to the Snapdragon, probably the Snapdragon 888 Plus, really, because that's where a lot of these stand at in benchmarks, anyways. Well, the 88 for the more so than the Plus, but just kind of depends which one you're looking at and whatnot. But there's not a lot of phones with this processor, this exact one, the Ultra, to really compare to. Um, so, with that said, um, again, the Xiaomi 12T here, it's not the Pro, because the Pro has the 8 Plus Gen 1. This just has but this is still an upgrade from the 11T. This does have the 8100 Ultra again. So, I mean, this is an upgrade as well from the 11T. Because the 11T Pro didn't even have the 888 Plus. It just got the 888, even though it came out around the same time last year when the 888 Plus had been out, and they still went with the standard one. But the 11T, the non-Pro, had gotten the Dimensity 1200 Ultra, which was an upgrade over the 1200, if y'all remember. But anyways, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. About honestly, to me this is I would say this is what Flossie would call a um a mid-tier flagship phone. Mid-tier, there we go. Mid-tier flagship specs. Mid-tier flagship specs. I'm not going to add the bro at the end, even though I do talk like that, but I don't really want to jock his style too much, because I know I already do that enough with the smell test that I do on some of my videos. I haven't done it in a while. I'm not going to here. It's a little late now, and I keep stopping myself from ending this video. I think I've done it like 3 times now. But anyways, hit me up in the comments. I hope y'all like this one again for the 3rd time. Sorry for repeating myself. Peace out.